Friends, welcome to Honest Christian Conversations. I'm Anna Murby. When I say the word COVID, what goes through your mind? Are you rolling your eyes right now? Are your conspiracy theory feelers out there already? Are you just numb to it? Are you tired of it? I could say that I'm in that camp of I'm just over it. It's been talked about so much. It's been critiqued. All these different things have happened when it comes to COVID. But today's guest has a different perspective on the whole situation of what happened during COVID. His wife went through a very, very dark season during COVID. Him and his family were completely changed during this time. She got really, really sick, and it was looking like there was no hope. But through Jesus Christ, Jo'mel Powell, my guest, was able to find hope, being a new father with a newborn that he had to raise himself while his wife was sick. His story is profound. It is powerful. It is full of God's glory and his mercy. And Jo'mel is just full of hope and faith in God. I was encouraged when I listened to his audiobook. Anyone out there who lost somebody during COVID or who went through such a dark time during COVID, you have to listen to his book. If you have turned on God because of situations that happened during COVID, you have to read his book. Everyone just has to read his book. It was a powerful book. It is not that long either, so it is only about an hour and a half of your day. But this is his life that he compacted into that hour and a half. I can't even imagine everything he went through. It's a powerful story that you are not going to want to miss. So you are really going to enjoy this episode. It is going to encourage and give you hope, renewed hope if you have lost your hope and faith in God. Thank you, Jo'mel, for writing this book and being vulnerable and sharing your heart with all of us. Let's get to it. Before the episode starts, make sure you follow the show so you never miss another episode. Jo'mel, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I am so excited to talk to you. I listened to your book. It was amazing. An audiobook, gripping. I loved the music that you put in the song that you and your wife sang at your wedding. I want to have that on my Apple Music. I don't know if it's available, but I do. It's a beautiful love song. And it reminded me of one of my friends' wedding because she married a Christian DJ. And he created a song for her for their wedding that he surprised her with. And that was a beautiful song that is in my playlist. So I need your song in there too, because you had mentioned in the beginning how beautiful your wife's singing voice was. And I was intrigued just with that. I wanted to know because it sounded like it was probably really good. And then I heard you guys singing. Your voices together was beautiful. Her voice is absolutely enchanting. I can see why you fell for her. And yeah, your whole story is just wow. That's all I can say is wow. Your heart for God through everything that you went through during COVID. And I can't imagine what you're still going through because I know your journey is not over. But I am so thankful to have you on this podcast so that we can discuss this from your perspective as a man, a new father, taking care of your child alone because your wife was in the hospital and you didn't even know if she was going to make it.
Yes.
You are a perfect guest to have on during my tribute to masculinity. So I knew, I was like, yes, this is going to be an amazing powerhouse episode. So I'm done fawning. I'm going to let you talk. Please share with us what happened in your life to bring you to Jesus, first of all,
Yes.
as a believer, your testimony, and then you can go into your story of how you met your wife and what happened during COVID.
Oh yeah. Well, gotta thank you for having me here. It's a blessing for sure. And I got to thank you for taking your time to listen to the audiobook. That's a blessing to me as well. I always wanted it to be able to get listened to and touch the listeners, and that's That's success to me. With my testimony, I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, from the west side of Detroit. Basically, I was a product of my environment. I grew up in the neighborhood where we had people that sold drugs,
Mm.
a lot of crime, violence. So I was raised in that type of environment. And of course, being raised in that type of environment, I got into some of the things involved in the environment because like we didn't have a basketball player in front of us in the neighborhood. We didn't have a successful businessman. We only had the guys that was in front of us. So we
Mhm.
aspired to be like those guys. So a lot of me and my friends, we got off into trying to hustle and sell weed, and some people sold other type of drugs. It's just us. We all were just lost, myself included.
Yeah.
But at the age of 19, that's when I really was going hard after that lifestyle. But I realized at age of 19 that that's not the life that I wanted to live. It's a lot of friction, a lot of paranoia, a lot of bad things happen in that lifestyle, like robberies and just a lot of bad things happen. And I got
Yeah.
caught in a bad situation where I had some issues with some guys that was older than me, and I actually feared for my life. I ended up going on the run, just trying to avoid trouble. But while I was on the run, only thing I took with me was a Bible. And I used to just sit and read Proverbs all the time. And all I remember is it was a lot of parts in Proverbs that talked about the wicked and the righteous, the wicked and the righteous. And it was kind of
Mhm.
scaring me a little bit because in a lot of the cases, I felt like I was on the side of the wicked man a lot of times. So that's the book of Proverbs drew me closer to God. Then when I started praying and fasting, I started to actually hear from God and I started to actually change. I wasn't talking the same no more. Things that I was in a consistent pattern of doing, like smoking, drinking, all of those type of things that was natural for me to do. I started feeling a conviction about it. And I didn't want to be around the same people, do the same things. So, like, actually praying, building a relationship with God is what kind of brought about change in me. So, I've been walking with the Lord since the age of 19. I can't tell you that
That's
it's been a
awesome.
perfect, it'll be like 21 years. It's been a lot of ups and
Mhm.
downs throughout this 21 years. It's been some backsliding in the 21 years, but I'm on the potter's wheel still. He's still working on me. And I'm the canvas. I'm the canvas and the clay. He's the artist and the potter.
Hearing your story, I can see why you have such a deep love for God now because He helped you escape at such a young age from something that could have stolen your life.
Yes.
And you received it well rather than some people continue to buck Him. They'll get more prideful and say, I got this. I don't need anybody else. Look at all
Hmm.
this money. Look at all this I have. But you humbled yourself and realized, this is not what I want. And I love that you only took a Bible when you went on the run. It was like, of
Yeah.
all the things, just a Bible. You're like, I just need this. That's only God. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I used to sit up and just write my prayers down on a piece of paper sometime. Like it was actually a rough time, but it was actually like one of my biggest blessings.
So now give us a brief overview. If everyone wants to know the full story, they'll have to listen to your audiobook. But give us a brief overview of how you met your wife.
One day I was doing security at the church and I had seen her a couple of times before, but this time I seen her up close and I was kind of looking. I'm like, that's a nice looking lady right there. But of course I got to keep myself under control, a man of God. So I'm looking like, man, that lady look nice, but I kind of left it alone because I kind of figured she got to have a man at home. A woman like that, come on now, she got to have a man at home. But I think after that, because she had just started coming back to the church around the time I seen her. But then another time I came to a service, she was up there singing with the praise team.
Mm.
So that was the second sign. I'm like, wow, that lady could really sing. And then the next time I ended up seeing her, we ended up in the same biblical counseling class together. She ran into me in the hallway. She let me know that she saw me do a song with a couple of the brothers and one of the sisters at the watch night service. She let me know she liked it and stuff like that. And next thing I know, we end up in the hall. We talking a little more. After a while, I look up like about 10 minutes went by. So I'm like, Hold on. I like this type of conversation. We ended up getting each other's number because we were originally talking about doing a song together, but of course when we started talking, we didn't really talk about the song. We ended up doing stuff like talking till we was falling asleep on the phone, and then next thing you know, we started hanging out together. And during that process, my father passed away, and she was calling me every day, making sure everything was okay. And when she found out when the funeral was, she started asking me like, "So, like, what colors you gonna wear? Where's the funeral?" She met us to go with the funeral with us, and she was dressed in the same colors as me. And my uncle, I introduced her to my uncle as my lady friend, and my uncle was like, "Nah, that's not your lady friend. That's your fiance." So like that's like the beginning part of us meeting. It was a beautiful and refreshing time for me.
Yeah. And you talked about it in your book that you had some struggles despite how beautiful your relationship was, as all couples do. We
Yes.
all have struggles. And what happened during COVID seems to have been the highest amount of struggles that you could have ever had. So
Yeah.
give us a overview of how that happened. Like what happened in COVID leading up to the situation? Where were you and your wife before it actually happened? And then go ahead and tell our viewers and listeners what actually happened.
Oh, yeah, so we were after the honeymoon stage died down. That's the point where you start to like notice the flaws of each other and notice the not so beautiful things about each other. So we started noticing each other's flaws, and we started having a lot of disagreements about different things. And I can't speak for her, but I know I was not handling everything the right way. So
Yeah.
we were having disagreements about finances. We were having disagreements about the blended family. We were having disagreements about a lot of things that a married couple should be on one accord about. When the pandemic hit, it just got worse because we were at home a lot more with things being shut down, and our jobs had us home more often because I was only working half a days because they didn't want a lot of people there at the same time. And then her job had her working at home, so we used to be home a lot. And it brought about a lot more friction between us, where it's like, I know we love each other, but we just having a hard time figuring out how to meet on a common ground at that point. The arguing and the disagreements led to us like kind of feeling repellent to one another. One day I just decided, like, I'm a separate for a while. And I separated with the intentions of giving us space to work out our issues and resolve our issues. So I got a month to month lease because I'm like, okay, as soon as we can get on common ground, then I could just jump right back. But it was pretty rough. It was a pretty rough process because we did a lot more arguing because she was a little more upset with me because she felt like I should have just stayed and stuck through it that way. But I felt like I needed to step back. And we went through a separation for about a year. But during the separation, we started working on our marriage. We started back dating again. It's kind of like we hit the reset button. We started back dating again, and started back spending time again. And next thing you know, she lets me know like the surprise that she's pregnant, and I'm like, oh wow, really? So when I found out she was pregnant, that was even more motivation. Like, okay, we was making more attempts to get our marriage more stronger and get closer. And right in the end of the third trimester, that's when the COVID virus hit her. And of course, when the COVID virus hit her, I was thinking in my mind that she'll be all right because I had it also during the time where it was like one of the worst strands, and it had me sick for like almost 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I was just looking at it like, okay, she'll be okay. But then she got to a point where she was struggling to breathe, and she asked me, could I take her to the hospital? So I left work, took her to the hospital. I couldn't go back. It was a lot of restrictions during COVID, so I couldn't go with her. And that's when it hit me like, whoa, this might be something serious. And when they called me and let me know that they would be delivering the baby through C-section, that's when I was like, man, this is more serious than what I thought. And they delivered my daughter through C-section. I wasn't able to go around my daughter for 2 days. My wife was in medically induced coma. So I just was in a very, very dark space because this is the point where things go wrong for a lot of people. Like, and a lot of people that we went to church with, friends and family, we lost a lot of people during the pandemic. So I just was dealing with a lot of anxiety during that time. Life just felt dark. And
Yeah.
on top of that, like being told that I might not see my daughter for 10 days, that was like even more of like a knife to the chest because it's like, man, I've been waiting to meet this person ever since I found out about it. Now y'all trying to tell me
Yeah.
that I'm not going to be able to see her for 10 days. But
Oh, that
yeah,
must have been terrible.
yeah, it was very dark. It was very dark. But one of the nurses was so cool that she took some pictures of her and text me, which she wasn't supposed to do, but I guess she had the heart for me. I think after the 2 days, they let up. They let me come and see my daughter, and it's like I was happy to see my daughter, but at the same time, I was like, wow, I'm visiting my daughter for the first time, but my wife is in medically induced coma, fighting
Yeah.
for her life. So it was like I'm happy to finally meet my daughter, but I wish my wife was here.
Yeah. Yeah. Bittersweet. I can
Yeah,
see how that. Yeah.
yeah.
So, how did it go after your daughter was born, after you were finally able to take her home? Was your wife able to come home or was there more?
No, she actually still was in medically induced coma. When they called and let me know that I could take my daughter home. So I visited my daughter earlier that day. But then after that, I spent the whole day. I kind of stalled a little bit because I was just nervous. Like, I never took care of a child before. I don't know nothing about being a parent. So I kind of
Yeah.
stalled a little bit. And I did some running around to make sure I had everything at home. But I just kind of like prayed about it, manned up, and was like, all right, I got to do this. I got to jump straight into this. Went and picked her up, took her home, immediately changing diapers, immediately the crying, and it was like culture shock, but
Yeah.
a
Crash
friend,
course for you.
yeah. But I'll never forget. I got a friend that has 4 daughters, and one of the things that he told me is, look, man, if you care, that you will figure out everything just by caring. And that stuck with me. And so I was looking up different YouTube videos about different things. I was calling my sisters and calling other ladies in the family with questions. And just, I walked in it and was like, my attitude about the whole thing was, I can't leave my responsibility on anyone else. I got to figure this out. And then my other mind state was like, I just wanted my wife to, whenever or if ever she was to make it out the hospital, I just wanted her to be proud of me. Like, wow, you was able to handle everything. That was like my mind state with my daughter coming home.
You are so thoughtful of other people. I noticed that in the whole listening to your audiobook, you care. You genuinely care. You want to be a good person. I heard it just now. You wanted your wife to be proud of you and see that you were able to do this, that you took care of your daughter. You wanted to make your marriage work. So you did a month-to-month lease. You didn't do a year. You
Yes.
didn't just say, I'm out, whatever. You care. And I think that's amazing because there's not too many men out there who really put in the work to make things work when things are difficult, especially when you go through the trials that you're going through. A new dad, it's a scary thing to begin with, but a new dad and you're doing it on your own in the situation that you're doing it in, so much different, so much more stress added on to that, but you didn't give up. You strived to do better, and your daughter is going to love that story when you're able to tell her when she gets older, and she's going to want to find a man just like you who wants to fight for her, wants to fight for her mom, their marriage. You are setting a very high bar for whoever she ends up dating when she's older. So that is really good.
Hey, friends, have you joined the Honest Christian Conversations online group yet? If you haven't, you're missing out on a perfect opportunity to grow your relationship with Jesus Christ. This is a community for those who want to go deeper in their relationship. You can do Bible studies together, ask the questions you have biblically, and get the answers that you might need. Or maybe you're somebody who has answers to somebody else's questions. You can leave your prayer requests, you can leave your praise reports. This is a community. This is what church is supposed to be. And I'm so glad that I finally took that step to make this group so that people's lives can flourish in Jesus' name. Also, if you haven't signed up for the mailing list, you're missing out on an opportunity there as well. I send out a weekly email chocked full of so much awesome content that I don't have time right now to share it all with you. But when you do sign up for that mailing list, you get my 7-day free devotional that I created just for those who sign up for the mailing list. If you haven't joined either of these, you can go to my website, honestchristianconversations.com, and sign up there, or you can use the links for it in the show notes.
I always tell people, like, being that I'm very familiar with my flaws as an individual. I always say, like, the good that shines through me, that's like, how the Bible talk about having this treasure inside of an earthen vessel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything good that's seen about me, like, I know for a fact that's all God. That's all the work of God, because naturally, I would have liked to have a way to escape my responsibilities, and naturally, without God, I probably would have walked away from my marriage. But God had renewed my mind in a lot of ways to keep me from following after what I would naturally do. So I always got to give Him the praise and the glory for that.
Yeah. No, I completely understand.
Yes.
So, how did things go with your wife when she came out of the coma? Did they get better? Did they get worse? I know the story because I listened to your book.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know yet, go ahead and share.
It got much more worse. It got much more worse. When I first was allowed to see her, it was like close to a month without being able to see her at all due to COVID protocol.
Mm-hmm.
When I did finally get to see her, she wasn't able to move her arms. She wasn't able to walk or talk. So I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. I was thinking, like, okay, maybe just because they just waking her up, maybe it's just going to take some time. But come to find out, she's been disabled ever since. So that part was like something that was hard, very, very hard to adjust to, like very, very hard. And we had a couple of scares with her as well, where she had to have procedures done because of blood clots and things like that. But prior to me going to see her, the most scariest thing that happened was when they called me and told me that she coded one night, and they told me she was down for 8 minutes before they got her back revived. Come to find out, it was actually 10 minutes, but they was explaining to me, like, hey, your wife might not be the same person that you know her as when she finally wakes up. So, like, that was like, wow, like, this is even more worse than what I thought. And then I had a bunch of anxiety because I was concerned about, was she going to remember us? Was she going to remember anything? And that was just scary. And then having to call her mother and explain that to her mother, like, at 4 or something in the morning, like, that was just a horrible time. And on top of that, dealing with what comes along with a newborn, with them getting up every 2 or 3 hours throughout the night. And so not much sleep, but a lot of stress. But I did find out that she did not lose her memory. She responded yes and no to a lot of questions and was letting me know that she understood. It took a while, but we got her seen by an ENT doctor who put some injections into her throat. Those injections enable her to be able to speak again, though she's not able to project. Did some therapy, but she just never was able to regain her physical ability. Yeah, I still stuck with the journey though, just trying to balance everything out between keeping my eye on her, visiting her in the hospital when I could, and raising my daughter. I had my sisters helping me out where I could be able to see her, so that when they would come to the house, I would go to the hospital and sit with my wife and check on her. But we had a lot of scares. She ended up catching pneumonia a few times and ended up having to go to the hospital for infections and things like that. it was just stressful because I was hoping for her to get better and regain her strength and mobility, but it just seemed like the obstacles was just hitting us hard, and then she started having muscle contractures, and I just was
Yeah.
like, I was in a space where it was nothing I could do but pray to God. But something stuck out to me. The pastor of my church said one time, he said, if God doesn't change your situation, he uses the situation to change you. So although like my wife didn't get better physically, I was drawn more to the scriptures and I was drawn more to God. So my mind was being reshaped. So all of the false things that I was taught about faith and the false things that I was taught about God, being in this situation like this, God renewed my mind. He renewed my
Yeah.
mind to the scriptures.
And despite the sadness that you went through, the difficulties, that is a beautiful transformation. And regardless of what does happen with your wife in the future, I think you're going to be mentally better prepared to handle it because you've put God first and put your trust completely in Him. And yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Is your wife still in the hospital?
She right now she's under skilled nursing care because she needs 24-hour care.
Okay.
So the beauty of it is like she went through when she first woke up and realized what was going on with her physically. Like she used to just cry every day, almost just cry every day. It just was like it wasn't really nothing I could do about it, but pray and just try to be positive with her about everything. But the beautiful thing about it is, even though God didn't change her situation, she got to a point where it wasn't no crying every day no more. She got to a point where she actually started to be silly again and laugh and optimistic. So even though she's not where she want to be, I'm just thankful that God poured her out of depression. Like, and I never, all I could do is just be there with her through the depression because I don't know what it's like to
Yeah.
wake up and like, hold on, what's going on? I can't move my arms. I can't move my legs. I don't know what that's like. So I just had to be there with her through it. But she's positive. She cracks jokes. She talks trash. Uh, sometimes I look at her like, yeah, you still a trash talker. But that's just the beautiful thing about it. I think God made us more loving towards each other, made us realize that seize the opportunity to have good moments with your loved ones. You know, like we spend so much time bickering with our loved ones or being at odds with our family members and our loved ones. But if we really, really love our people, we have to think about the fact that sometimes things may change. We are not going to be here. I think we should embrace the reality of life in order to enjoy each other as we should. Because had I known what would take place in our lives, I would have been trying to enjoy every moment I could with my wife. If we did have an argument, we would get it solved like right away. We wouldn't wait. So that's one of the things that I kind of regret a little bit. Like looking back, like wow, we should have just been enjoying each other. The times we had the opportunity, we should have been going out and exploring and just enjoying our time with one another. So that's why like some of my friends are calling me sometimes today and talk to me about things that's going on with their wives, and I'll let them know like, look man, that's not that bad. Y'all go work through that, because I'm like, man, I wish I could just have me and my wife could just go and eat together and have some time together. I wish we could go out to the movies and things like that. So I try to encourage my friends like, man, no, don't bicker with your wife, man. Work that out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely wonderful advice and very humbling for a lot of us who we have those petty arguments with our loved ones. And we forget that our breath is a gift from God, and at any point, He can choose to stop giving that to us. We aren't owed anything, especially life. So at any point, it can be gone. And to use your time with your loved ones wisely is a very wise reminder. Unfortunately, you had to learn it in a hard way. But like you said, it has deepened your faith. It has deepened her faith. It shows her faith in you can be founded. Like, she can have faith in you too, because you stuck with her through this difficult situation. You did not bow out like some people would if they were put in that situation. Not everyone has the caliber to handle something like that. And some people will just be like, I'm sorry, I'm out. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
Although you did, when you said your vows for, sickness and in health, we all made those vows. So technically you did sign up for it, but that's a different story. But she got to see that you meant what you said in your vows. She got to see that you really do want to work, that you weren't trying to separate just to separate, to get away from her. You stuck with her. You stuck with your child. You did the hard things and showed her that I am man enough to handle this. I love you. I love our daughter, and I want to be there for you. And you have been an advocate for her because she has been in some crummy situations
Yes.
with doctors who didn't give her the treatment she needed.
Yes.
That chapter really irritated me. Like, I wanted to go find the hospital and be like, what is wrong with you? Because I know during COVID, they were stretched thin. They had, got rid of a whole bunch of different people because they didn't want to get the shot, all those things. So they were probably understaffed at some point, maybe not this hospital, but there were a lot of hospitals that were understaffed. There were a lot of them that they picked and chose who deserved treatment and who didn't. And it sounded like they were trying to give up on your wife.
Exactly.
And that irritated me so much to hear that. I was like, oh no, And you stepped up and you were there for her, and she will never forget that. Your daughter will never forget that. And yeah, those who have had their loved ones forgotten during COVID because they were, in the same situation and they were forgotten by their caregivers, they won't forget that you stood up for that too. And that is a powerful testimony in and of itself, that you have to stand up and be there for your loved ones when they can't do it for themselves.
Yeah. You know what else I noticed? It was so much death going on and so many things going on that some of the medical workers just were numb. They had seen so much and like nothing really touched them. And I don't think it was nothing personal towards me that anybody had that were doing the mistreatment and things like that. I think they just got to the point that they was dealing with so much that they got numb to it.
That makes sense. I could see that. It's not easy what you've been through, but it sounds like you and your wife are in a better place. I know she's still going through some things. It sounds like she can talk a little more.
Yes.
Can she move at all?
She could move her arms a little bit and her legs a little bit, but she's not able to just, get up still. We did a lot of therapy. We did therapy for like 2.5 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
you reach a point where the insurance is like it's time to take a break. But she's back in OT now, and she do a little physical therapy now. We still believe that God performs miracles, but it's a lot of mind states that I'm in. Like, one of the mind states is that even if God doesn't, He's still able. But the other mind state is like, be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap. Joseph's dream took 13 years to come to pass. The time from David being anointed king to actually becoming king, most scholars say it was 15 years. So, God is on a whole different timing for us, from us. I just believe that God could still perform miracles, and I wake up every day believing in my heart that this could be the day that everything changed. Like, no matter if I'm dealing with depression, no matter if I'm dealing with anxiety, I gotta get up every day and push myself through and just say this could be that day that the Lord just turn everything around.
Yeah. You have hope and you have faith, and those are the things that get you through during the tough times. And God is faithful, and He will do what He is going to do. And
Amen. Amen.
yeah, that's awesome. So how excited was your wife when she finally got to see her daughter, not in the hospital, because I know she did while she was still going through everything, but when she actually got to experience being with her daughter, maybe holding her, maybe just being close to her, and she was present for that. How was that experience?
The first time that I wrote, the one that I wrote about in the book, like I just saw my wife's eyes lighting up. The hospital made an exception for us to get for my daughter to get in there. No, they usually don't let children come into the hospital, but they talked to somebody and they got us in there. And I was walking in the room with my daughter inside of the car seat, and I could just see my wife's eyes looking over. I poured her out and laid her on top of her mother. I could just remember my wife just like turning her head and kissing her and just holding her. It was like a really really special moment. It was like a big day. I call it raise the sun in the midst of the storm. I made it equivalent to like those days that the sun is shining bright and rain is pouring down while the sun is shining out. That's what I like to
Yeah.
make that day. And I bring my daughter to see her almost every day. Almost, I might miss a day if we sick or if I'm sick or my baby sick. But other than that, we here every day. My daughter is
Awesome.
3 now, and she talks her mama to death. Talks her mama to death.
Beautiful.
And,
So I am so glad that despite the issues you're still going through, things have turned out the way they did. I was
yeah,
concerned that the end of the story was not going to end quite like this. And I'm glad that it didn't end the way I was thinking it would. There is
yes,
still hope. There is still faith. There's
yes,
still love.
yes,
And she could get better at any moment, which is an awesome, awesome thing to hang on to. Every day that you guys are alive is another day that God can show off his glory
yes,
and give her full healing.
yes,
And yeah, your story is very powerful. There are so many who went through many trials during COVID and they gave up hope. They gave up trusting in God. And I'm just praying that this episode will bring them back because they will see that you
amen,
can have hope in the midst of your darkest moments. No matter
amen.
what you're going through, you can trust God. He is always there. He is always faithful. I thank you so much, Jo'mel, for coming on. Before
Thank
we
you.
go, tell everybody where they can listen to your book because they should. It is not that long, people. It's less than 2 hours long.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's not even going to feel like an hour because it's got beautiful music in it. It's like an old timey radio program. I loved old radio programs before TV was invented. I love listening to those suspenseful things. And this is what this was very suspenseful, very heartfelt, very honest and vulnerable and full of hope. It will not feel like you're listening to a book. I guarantee you it'll feel like you're having a conversation with a new friend. So definitely you all have to listen to this. So Jo'mel, where can they listen?
Oh, you know what? It's on the main places that you can find audiobooks like Audible, um,
Mm-hmm.
Apple Book, Spotify, BarnesandNoble.com,
Okay.
audiobook.com. Like everywhere that you can find audiobooks is there. And I also have a ebook version of it on Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
Working on getting some physical copies. I haven't got those done yet, but yeah, anywhere you can find audiobooks, you can find it there.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much again for coming on and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for spending your time to even listen to the audiobook. That's a blessing to me and encouragement to me. It keeps me going.
Good.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a review for the podcast wherever you are listening, or click the link in the show notes. If you have feedback for me, use the leave a message or voicemail links also in the show notes. You can check out my website, honestchristianconversations.com, to leave a review or feedback as well. Join the community and become part of something bigger than yourself. Lastly, sign up for the mailing list and get the free 7-day devotional as a thank you gift. Once again, thanks for listening. I look forward to our next conversation.